Today, we are going to talk about the chatterbait that just might be better than the jackhammer. This is the Chatterbait Mini Max, and in today's video, we're going to show you what this chatterbait is and what makes it special, where to fish it for the most amount of success, and how to fish it to catch a lot of bass on this little chatterbait right here. So stay tuned and let's get right into it. So for starters, what makes the Chatterbait Mini Max so special compared to other chatterbaits? And the obvious answer is that it's smaller, but let's dig a little bit deeper on what the smaller profile actually does for you and how it will catch you more fish. The first thing to notice is how much smaller it actually is. So this is a traditional jackhammer right next to it, and this is the Mini Max. So the hook is smaller, the blade is much smaller. Even with this trailer on here, I have a pretty long trailer on my Mini Max, and it's still a significant bit smaller. It's not widely different. You could still probably catch a fish on the jackhammer, but that is where some of these smaller features come into play here. So when you're looking at pressured fish or very small fish, this is a slimmer profile. Even though the bait is maybe the same length, it is much slimmer, so it feels like those fish can get it in their mouth a little bit easier. And the other thing comes down to the actual blade here. So this is gonna produce a much subtler vibration. So when everyone is out there throwing that jackhammer, the fish get used to hearing that same sound, same vibration, same frequency. You throw this little Mini Max in there, it has a completely different vibration and frequency to work better on those pressured fish. And it will get them to bite a little bit better. Even though they might see a million chatterbaits a day, they still might bite this one just because of the change in vibration. So that is something that I've noticed to catch me a lot more fish. And the other thing is it just mimics a lot smaller bait. That especially if you trim up the skirt, sometimes I'll trim the skirt down to the hook bend here, it really makes that profile a lot smaller. And it can mimic some smaller bait fish when you're fishing for smaller fish. We're gonna go out on the Pittsburgh rivers here later today. Those fish down there in the Pittsburgh rivers that are 10, 12, 14 inches long, and that's about as big as they get. So you catch a very small fish on this bait right here. It works great in ponds and other places too. Now for the gear for this setup, it's pretty simple. It's the same thing I would use for pretty much any other chatterbait. I like to use my Icon chatterbait rod, the one with the moderate fast action, but I'm actually repairing that one right now with the reel seat. So I was using the Icon worm and jig rod in today's video. This is the 7-foot fast medium heavy power. So basically the same similar rod, it's just a little bit faster action. Maybe those fish don't get the bait as well because they can't bend the rod as much when they bite it, but that's about the only difference. I use a 7:1 gear ratio on here. This is the Corrado MGL, and straight 15 to 17 pound test fluorocarbon. I usually fish 17 to 20 for a jackhammer. I will downsize my line just slightly on the Mini Max because it will allow that thinner diameter line to get that bait down in the water column a little bit better and give that bait a little bit more action because the line isn't as restrictive to that bait. The second thing I'm gonna do, I got my Mini Max on here, and my favorite trailer in the whole world on a jackhammer is the Zako. I do have 3-inch Zakos now because they came out with that, and I will put them on the Mini Max, but what I have been doing is fishing with the Busoned on here. This is the platinum white. I also have the chartreuse to mimic baitfish colors, or you could get green pumpkin to mimic the other ones. But that Busoned on there, it has a very tight quiver on the back, and it's almost like some of those like chatter spike trailers that are out there on the market today. It's a perfect opportunity to put that bait on there and get that tight little wiggle, which is what I'm always looking for in a chatterbait. It kind of looks like little bait fish swimming through the water. So that is the Busoned that I like to thread up on there. Color for today is spot remover, but I use the spot remover. The other colors I have are like the chartreuse and white ones, or the regular pearl white ones. I got green pumpkin, I got the green gizzard shad. They all play a role, but realistically, pick a shad pattern, pick a green pumpkin, depending on if the fish are feeding on bluegills or if they're feeding on bait fish. Today we're fishing for bait fish eating fish, so we're gonna go with the all white, or in this case, the spot remover, because the water was really, really clear. So if you want to check out any of the gear that we're using in today's video, it will all be linked in the description below. If you wanna use my code Quince on the 6th Sense website, you'll save 10% off your order, and it helps me out a ton to keep making videos like this for you guys. So now, let's head out on the water and catch us some fish down at the Pittsburgh rivers on a chatterbait of all things, where you usually go throw a Ned rig to catch fish. Now that we know the gear that you need and what makes this chatterbait special, let's go ahead and fish this thing and put it to the true test. on the Pittsburgh rivers. There's no better way to test a bait to see how effective it is at pressured fish and small fish than it is the Pittsburgh rivers, because these fish not only get a ton of pressure, they're very small here, and this place is notoriously tough to catch fish. You can throw a regular chatterbait down here, but a lot of baits that I usually fish are things like Ned rigs and drop shots and other slow moving baits to catch these fish. Today, we're gonna show you that you can still catch fish on reaction baits and a chatterbait on a bait just like this. So we're gonna put it to the test. No matter how small the fish are in your lake, river, stream, it doesn't matter. You will catch fish on this bait. You can catch literally 10-inch bass with this thing. They'll eat it. They think it's a shad. These fish eat bait fish all the time, so they're gonna bite it just like anything else. So what we're gonna do is fish this thing in the same general areas that we would fish if we were fishing a regular chatterbait. So we have a lot of bank grasses up here today, like eelgrass and hydrilla. We're gonna fish it down the edges of that and rip our bait through it. There's also some wood and some rock around here, and surprisingly, if you use this little trailer right here, this bait is fairly weedless. I can reel it down the side of a laydown and stuff like that and still get my bait to come through. It won't roll over and get the hook point in the wood or anything like that like you would with a regular chatterbait. Now, the way that I'm gonna fish this thing, I'm literally just gonna slow wind this and feel that little subtle vibration. That's all I'm looking for, just to get that little vibration going. I'm not trying to burn it or do anything like that today. I know these fish, since they are pressured, I don't want to burn it. I don't want to make my chatterbait do a bunch of crazy stuff. I want to fish it nice and slow like this and give it something, a different look. A lot of people are gonna reel their chatterbaits fast. They're gonna be ripping them. They're gonna be doing all that kind of stuff. You will see me work my bait that way a little bit throughout the day. Or if I feel one bite it, sometimes these fish will get schooled up. So if I feel one bite it, I might start twitching it or working it faster to see if I can get one to react and get the bait fully in its mouth. Talk about that as we fish it throughout the day. But I'm just gonna try and work my bait slowly to make it look, there was a fish chasing it right there. See if I can get him to come up and bite it. Nope. Sometimes they'll chase it, they won't commit, but I'm just gonna make it try and look like a bait fish that these fish are eating on that might be falling its way down the current, just kind of slowly swimming its way down because it's not doing so hot or something like that. So that's what we're gonna do with this thing. We're gonna work it around and see what we can catch, and we'll walk you through each one as we catch them. Got that one. That one smoked it. It's a nice one. Look at that one. Nice for the Pittsburgh rivers. I always say that in my videos because Pittsburgh river bass don't get very big usually. If we catch a true giant, you'll know, because I'll freak out because I don't catch them often down here. But you can see that chatterbait, perfect size for them. That's like a pound fish. He was able to get all of it. I just had another one bite there, so there's probably a little school of them, and they create competition for themselves and then try and get the balls of bait. But these fish are just up here chasing bait, fall's approaching quickly, and they can't resist the chatterbait. So let's get back to fishing and see if we can catch us some more. Yep. That's a big one. That's a big one. Oh my gosh. My gosh. She's strong. That's one of the right ones. Absolutely choked this thing too. Oh, look at that one. That's a giant. I told you I'd get excited if I caught a true biggin. Look at that bait. They love the thing. I mean, it is gone. I'm smallmouth bass fishing with it. You can largemouth bass fish it within ponds and stuff. It catches little ones, it catches big ones. Literally the cast before that, I had one tap it. It was this big. It was literally trying to get the bait, it was that big. And then we got that monster right there. I mean, look at the size of that thing. Let's see if we can get another one. There might be a little school of them right there. That was a bite. Got him. Came back and got it a second time. Little one. Like I said, this thing catches them no matter how big. That is not a big fish by any means. The bait is like way bigger than his mouth, but they'll still come get it. They don't care. It's an awesome bait for catching fish when you have pressured fish or really small fish, just like this guy. So we're gonna get him on the scale and see if we can catch us another one. Well, unfortunately, we ran out of time today and we're not able to catch another fish, but give this little dude a shot on your local pond, creek, river, lake, whatever you fish, especially if you have small or pressured fish. You'll be catching a bunch of fish with this guy here. And if you want to see my favorite tips for fishing a regular chatterbait, because I still use a jackhammer, catches some bigger fish for me and stuff like that, check this video out right here. Hit the subscribe button down below, and thanks for watching.